Here's why Jon Snow still can't escape his past in the spin-off Snow. You know nothing, Jon Snow, except maybe how to turn exile into a full-time career. But here is the absolute wildest part. HBO is dragging our favorite brooding hero back into the spotlight, and his past is not just catching up with him. It is basically stalking him with the dedication of a stark direwolf. The upcoming spin-off Snow is set to throw Jon right back into the nightmare he thought he left behind at the Wall. And let me tell you, if you thought his story was over, you have clearly underestimated Westeros' ability to traumatize its heroes on an industrial scale. Before we unpack why Jon Snow is essentially the poster child for unresolved trauma and questionable life choices, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button while smashing that notification bell. Because here at Westeros Throne, we're serving up Game of Thrones content hotter than dragon fire and more addictive than whatever Cersei was drinking in those wine goblets. You do not want to miss what we have cooking. So let us set the scene. Jon Snow, the man who has literally died and come back to life, who fought ice zombies, killed his aunt/lover to save humanity, and got exiled for his troubles, finally rides north with the free folk. Roll credits, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Because in the Seven Kingdoms, peace is a fantasy more unrealistic than dragons, and your past does not just haunt you. It moves into your brain rent-free and starts redecorating. This Snow spin-off reportedly picks up after Jon's self-imposed exile. And if you think he's going to spend his days peacefully fishing and contemplating the northern lights, you have not been paying attention to literally anything that has happened in this man's life. Here is what makes Jon Snow the perfect protagonist for endless suffering. He is a magnet for catastrophic circumstances. This man has been lied to his entire life about his identity, murdered by his own brothers of the Night's Watch, resurrected by a priestess with a concerning obsession with fire, crowned king in the north, bent the knee to a queen who turned out to be his relative, fought the literal apocalypse, and then had to put a dagger through the woman he loved because she decided to cosplay as her father. And his reward for saving the entire continent? Exile. Again, it is like the universe looked at Jon and said, you know what this guy needs? More suffering. Let's really lean into it. But here is the million-dollar question. Why cannot Jon Snow escape his past? Buckle up, because the answer is more complicated than a Littlefinger scheme. First off, Jon is still technically Aegon Targaryen, the legitimate heir to the Iron Throne. That little factoid did not evaporate just because he moved beyond the Wall. In fact, it is the kind of information that spreads faster than wildfire in King's Landing. We are talking about a world that just watched a Targaryen queen incinerate an entire city because she heard some bells and had a bad day. You really think people are going to forget that there's another Targaryen out there, one with an actual claim and, shockingly, a moral compass? Now, let us talk about the political dumpster fire Jon left behind. Bran the Broken is sitting on whatever is left of the Iron Throne. Sansa is running the North like the boss she was always meant to be, and the whole power structure of Westeros has been flipped upside down faster than you can say breaking the wheel. But here is the thing about revolutions. They do not end just because you crown a new king. There are always going to be ambitious lords, disgruntled nobles, and power-hungry schemers who think they can do better. And when they start looking for a figurehead to rally behind, guess whose name is going to come up? That is right, Jon Snow, the man who wants absolutely nothing to do with politics, but somehow keeps getting nominated for leadership positions like he is on some cosmic ballot he never signed up for. The irony is absolutely delicious. Jon has spent his entire life not wanting power, which is precisely what makes him dangerous to the current regime. He is the anti-politician in a world drowning in political games. He is authentic, honorable, and proven in battle. Basically everything a desperate population looks for in a leader. But that same authenticity is exactly what is going to drag him back into the chaos. People will find him, they will beg him to return, they will try to manipulate him into claiming his birthright. And Jon, being the duty-bound martyr he is, will resist until some catastrophic event forces his hand, because that has literally been his entire narrative arc since episode 1. Let us not forget the ghost of relationships past. And yes, that pun is absolutely intentional. Jon's family ties are not going to let him vanish into the frozen wilderness without consequences. Sansa and Arya are still very much alive, still very much Starks, and still very much dealing with their own complicated legacies. The political situation between the independent North and the Six Kingdoms is held together with the structural integrity of wet parchment. Jon exists as a living symbol of that tension. Half Stark, half Targaryen, 100% problematic for everyone's peace of mind. Family does not stop mattering just because you change your address, and the Starks have historically been terrible at leaving well enough alone. Then there is the free folk factor that nobody is talking about enough. These are not simple wildlings content to live in isolation. There are people with their own politics, their own conflicts, and their own relationship with the lands beyond the wall. Jon is not just some random guy who showed up. He is a legend among them. He lived with them, fought with them, loved one of them, and earned their respect the hard way. That kind of reputation does not fade, and you can bet that whatever conflicts arise in the true North, Jon is going to be right in the middle of them, whether he wants to be or not. But perhaps the most compelling reason Jon cannot escape his past is psychological. This is a man who has been defined by duty, honor, and sacrifice since he was old enough to understand what those words meant. Those are not personality traits you just switch off like a lamp. Even surrounded by the free folk who value individual freedom above everything else, Jon is still going to be Jon. He is going to see injustice and feel compelled to act. He is going to see innocent people threatened and feel obligated to protect them. That internal moral compass that got him killed at Castle Black, it is still functioning perfectly, and it is going to point him straight toward trouble like a homing beacon for disaster. The brilliance of the Snow spin-off concept is that it is not just about external threats or political machinations. It is about Jon finally being forced to confront the fundamental question he has been avoiding his entire life. Who is Jon Snow when you strip away all the expectations, all the titles, all the prophecies, and all the duties? Is he Ned Stark's bastard? Is he Aegon Targaryen, rightful king? Is he the king in the North? His identity, his heritage, his choices, and the consequences of being the most reluctant hero in television history. And we're going to watch every painful, glorious moment of it. Thanks for watching, and remember, in Westeros, winter is not just coming. For Jon Snow, it is already here, and it brought receipts.